Dude. Facebook Live.
Okay.
Awesome. There we go. See if we can get Facebook to be able to see the screen, and you can. So, welcome everybody, both at home, in live, in person, and in Facebook land. So, real quick, if you're on Facebook, which you might not be yet since I just went live, it would be wise for you to join us on the Zoom link, which is posted right in there, because the Facebook Live will end very quickly once we get started. Plus, you can't see any of the content because I can see it. You can't see it. So, jumping in, our conversation tonight is about diabetes. So, thank you, Nelly. So, why would a chiropractic office spend time talking about something that seemingly has nothing to do with chiropractic? So, what do you think?
Because everything has something to do with
Oh,
chiropractic.
everything has something to do with chiropractic. Any other guesses? There are no wrong answers
We care about everyone's health
because we care about everybody's health. Yes. So, who has been to any of the last 3 workshops before this one? So there is an underlying theme that I've been utilizing the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to stick with that theme because diabetes is a representation of a version of lifetime care. It is not great lifetime care, especially if we're talking about type 2 or type 3, which you've never heard about type 3. We'll touch on that. Anybody know what type 3 diabetes is?
Alzheimer's.
Aha, you've been to that class.
I have.
So type 3, we'll touch on that. We don't have a lot of time to dig into that. We have a specific workshop for it. But even type 1 diabetics, there's things that you can do, and we're going to go over them this evening, things that you can do to decrease the impact on our health. Because diabetes, especially type 2 and type 3, is a complete representation of lifetime care. Just like you have an opportunity to take care of your spine the way that we're going to teach you to do and why we dig into these workshops together for the rest of your life, the option to take care of your life is not an option. The quality of which you engage in that process is the only option. So my job as your doctor and any doctor, their true job should be teaching you how to live at your best. And if we have doctors that are not earnestly striving and sweating and working on how to teach you to be better and how to need them less, then it might be a good idea to start seeking some new doctors. Maybe they're great and they're incredibly clinically able, and if they're not teaching you how to get out of the problem you have in the first place, they're not even really fulfilling what the word doctor means. If you look up the Latin derivative of the word doctor, does anybody know what it actually is? It's teacher. Natalie knows because she's here.
I want to give away all the answers.
So if we choose to utilize healthcare providers that are really teaching us to be healthy, then we have an opportunity to change a lot. So we're going to start off by just digging into, there we go, some of the content of diabetes. And the reason why I start with this picture is this is a vacation we took a couple of years ago, and then I think this was last year. This one is in California, Redwood. Maybe it was Oregon, but I think we kind of went into California a little bit. And this one is on the top of Pikes Peak in Colorado at 14,000 something square feet. Apparently, I'm still up that high because there's very little oxygen. So the idea is my intention as your doctor is something that we call it a statement of desire or heart's desire. If you know Simon Sinek's work, he calls it the why. Is that my statement is to inspire purpose, give you hope, and help you take the most right action. Because this is the life that I want to live. I love going on adventures. I love essentially vicariously living through people who get to do the things they want to do. So the reason why on the end of your first day, Nellie asks a very important question of if we find we can help you, if you choose to have us help you, what would you love to see different about your health besides feeling better? That's it. Because if the only reason you show up to the doctor is to feel better, sure, that's okay. And if the only reason you show up to a chiropractor is to feel better, sure, that's better than drug pain relief, but not a whole lot. It's really about helping you get back to that fundamental quality of life where you want to be able, where you can do basically everything you want to do. And I'll tell you what, if you've never been at 14,000 feet and you live at 0 feet, it's a bit of a trip. Recently, I was teaching a seminar in a different part of Colorado, and that was at like 12,000 feet, and I had no idea. So I'm like going up a set of stairs, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I got to teach, and I got like 3 sentences into like 3 hours of content, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to like slow down in my speaking for once in my life. It was good for everyone there. So let's dig in. So diabetes is a group of diseases that should say that results in too much sugar in the blood or high blood glucose. So most of you already knew this, but sometimes there are people who come to a class like this and say, hey, I've heard about diabetes, I have diabetes, I don't even know what it is. So we like to start with the basic information and then build on top of that.
But I didn't know what group of diseases. What does that mean?
So group, because there's type 1, type 2, and now what's
okay.
being called type 3.
Okay.
Oh, apparently you're needed.
All
right, and if you're on Facebook, I see at least one of you, please click on the Zoom link. If you do not know the password, the team is currently up front by the phones. Call them, they'll give it to you. Otherwise, see you later. All right, so
Some people that don't have audio for some reason, like most of them can, all of them can hear you, one person can't.
okay.
And the same thing happened last time.
Oh, interesting. So if they're on the phone, maybe ask that they see if their speakers are turned on.
Okay.
Because, maybe. Or if that doesn't work, have them come out and restart their computer and rejoin. It might be just an audio glitch with Zoom. Okay. So it's a group because there's type 1, type 2, and type 3. It used to be called type 1. Do you know what kind that is?
Juvenile.
So type 1 it used to be called juvenile. It's the one that we're technically born with. We have a genetic disposition for our pancreas to not produce insulin in an effective way that it can be used by the body. Type 2 used to be called adult onset. So I say used to because lots and lots of people who are really young now have type 2. Because people are not seeking to learn about the fuel they put in their body. We're going to touch on that briefly tonight, but again, we haven't completely based on that. And type 2 diabetes is a complete representation of how you chose to care for your health. Remembering that one of the topics we cover in almost every workshop is the #1 cause of death on the planet. And Natalie's not here, so I'm going to pick on you because you've been to a lot. Do you remember what the #1 cause of death on the planet is?
It's your lifestyle.
It's lifestyle and poorly made choices. It's the inability to discern the difference between what is healthy and what is not healthy but looks healthy because it's the new shiny object on TV that seems like it's going to be a miracle cure, and ultimately it doesn't work. So our lifestyle choices are really what determines our health. It is not heart disease, it is not cancer, it is not the things that are currently at the top list according to the CDC, it is the choices that we make. And if we can help people make more intelligent choices, then we have an opportunity to take the United States, let's just start with our zip code. We have an opportunity to take our community and go from what's currently number 47 of developed countries on the planet and change that. But it only happens when we show up and have conversations like this and actually dig in, change potentially some of our own lifestyle habits, and then choose to pass this information along. So the leading cause of diabetes, hey, look at you go, poor health habits. It's also obesity. As of right now, 1 in 3 children in the United States are obese. So just for a quick moment of clarity, obesity is not they're a little bit overweight. They are very overweight. Their BMI is above the number of being overweight. They're in the obese category. That's 1 of 3 kids. That's just simply not okay. There is no way that we're setting our next generations up for health when that's what we're living in right now. And in fact, it has tripled in the last 30 years. So this is not, sometimes I hear conversations with people of, well, the human body is just changing, we're adapting to our environment. Whether you believe in creation, evolution, some combination or whatever, it doesn't happen in 30 years. It just doesn't. It's the things that we're doing. It's how we're massively overproducing our food. We're going for things that are made very cheaply and very void of nutrition. And the CDC estimates that 1 in 5 to 1 in 3 people will be diabetic, not obese, diabetic. 2050 is not that far away anymore. It's like 30 years away. So what do you think that will do for our healthcare system when somewhere between 1/5 and 1/3 of every person in the United States is diabetic? It's not going to be good. And we're not even talking about any other healthcare challenges right now. We're just talking about diabetes. So common symptoms. So sometimes people may have some challenges of this and not know this. So I'd like to cover the common symptoms quickly. So it's frequent urination, it's increased hunger and thirst, it's frequent colds and infections. I want to pause on this one just for a moment because right now we're living in a pandemic. Whether the CDC states it no longer is, or the news source you look at, doesn't really matter. But the fact is we're living through a different version of a virus than we've been informed about before. And anything someone can do to be healthy, especially if you're among certain populations, would be a really good thing to do. So why in the world has no one had the conversation that sugar shuts off your immune system for at least 4 hours? The moment you have a piece of candy, a piece of sugar, or whatever, it actually tells your immune system to go on a break. It's a little more complicated than that, but it literally shuts off what white blood cell work. It shuts off the macrophages that are going around finding the diseases. And it basically goes, go on vacation, let the disease run rampant. What do people eat a ton of this time of year? Sugar and junk. And what are we probably going to see happen? And I promise I try not to talk about COVID too much in every class, but what are we likely going to see happen that we should not be surprised about? A spike in cases, not deaths, but cases. And jump in, dig into the research yourself. The cases are going up, the deaths are staying very low, but we're going to see a spike in cases. So one of the things that we can really do to help our immune system outside of this conversation is don't get too emotionally attached to the spike in cases, because statistically the cases are going up, but we're managing it far better and the death rate is going down very significantly. But sugar, the reason frequent colds and infections happens is when we're diabetic, there's too much sugar in your blood. Therefore, your immune system is no longer able to function properly and fight off any disease that comes across, so we get sick a lot more often. We're also going to have blurred vision in the later stages of this. Blurred vision is not something to mess with. If you see things across your vision that, except for maybe like a little floater thing here and there, or your vision is blurred, please go to your doctor instantly, not me, because I'll just send you to the right doctor. But this is not something to mess with. By the time your vision is blurring, your retina is literally detaching. And if you don't do something about it quickly, you could end up permanently with impaired sight, and that's not okay. But there's a ton of people out there, specifically in Portsmouth, that don't know that they should be taking action against these things, and they just think it's part of getting older, and that's not okay. And then numbness and tingling in the feet, another later stage. It is not uncommon that someone comes in and says, hey, I have numbness and tingling in my feet. I have diabetic neuropathy. Can chiropractic help with that? If we clean up your diet, if we give your body the things to rebuild nerves, your body is amazing. Peripheral nerves, everything outside of your brain and spinal cord, can regrow. It takes years to happen. So the challenge is getting someone to stay in the game long enough, but it can take somewhere between 2 and 5 years, depending on the research that you look at, for a peripheral nerve that's been injured that has the ability to regrow to actually regrow. So yes, neuropathy can get better marginally if you're willing to put the time and work in. And a big part of that time and work is reconnecting your brain and body so it can actually tell it to do that in the first place. But it's a very common medical thought that once you have neuropathy, you can't change it. And I believe that's because most people are not willing to do the things to change the lifestyle habits that got them in there in the first place. So digging a little further, we're going to start to talk about what you can do to change it in our last 14 minutes or 15 minutes together. So if you're there, or if you're not even there and you're concerned about it, because who remembers what someone said type 3 diabetes is? Yes, your memories are great. That was a bad joke. So type 3 is Alzheimer's, it's dementia, it's neurologic degenerative diseases. So what they're finding is there are people walking around who are not quite at the level of diabetes, but all things in medicine and many things in the world are on a bell curve. So if in your blood test you're within the bell curve of that, you're okay. If you're on the low end, the middle end, or the high end, you're still considered okay. Now, if you're on the higher end, in some cases, they'll consider pre-diabetic. But if you're anywhere in that curve, for the most part, they're going to say your blood work was within the normal ratio, you're okay. What they're actually finding is people who are living at that higher end of that bell curve for year after year after year, who are not even technically pre-diabetic, that higher level of blood sugar for decades upon decades is actually a huge contributor to things like Alzheimer's and dementia. Because if regular diabetes, we'll call it for the moment, can cause peripheral neuropathy, it makes sense to make the connection that if really high levels will attack your feet because it's the furthest away, then lower but higher levels for a lifetime will start to attack the nervous system. And when it's been there for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years, then we start to run into some of these issues like are becoming so unfortunately common. The fastest growing building in the US right now, anybody know what it is?
Old folks home.
It's old folks' homes. More people, and I'm off topic, so I'll get back. turning 100 or what are called centurions now than ever before, but their quality of life is not super great. Because once upon a time, around when they were born, the doctor looked at the baby and said, congratulations on this very healthy little baby boy or girl. They're going to have a great 50 or 60 years of life. Because that was life expectancy when they were born. So they went through their entire life thinking they're going to live 50, 60 years. And then they get into 70 and 80 and 90. And we're not going to go down the road of that. We do that in other workshops. But then they never thought they were going to get that far. So now they end up in a major health crisis because no one ever had the conversation that your life expectancy is going to be a lot longer. We should really be investing in things that are going to help you stay healthy so you can be like my one grandmother, who I could be wrong. She's either 89 or 90 now. She's living in her own home, manages her own house, does her own grocery shopping, has her own garden, as opposed to my other grandmother that we sometimes talk about that passed away years ago from dementia and Alzheimer's. Same age, same community, same everything, different lifestyle choices because they knew the opportunity. So tips for eating healthy for people specifically with gluten intolerance, because gluten, diabetes, pretty easy, is you should be having a lot of vegetables. So how many people have vegetables at least every day? How about once a week? How about once a month? So vegetables are good. I'd be very happy to be a meatitarian. I know that's not good for me. So my wonderful and beautiful wife, most days of the week that I'm here over lunch, she makes me a salad. I don't want to eat salads every day. I want to go get a hamburger down the street or get a sub or something. But I know that the choices I'm making every day are going to result in the health I have later on. So I very happily eat the lunch that she makes me and grateful for it because I know that while I might want to have a burger over a salad, if I choose the salad more days than not, I'm going to get to be on this planet and take care of you guys and really serve what I see as my purpose a lot longer. So fruits and vegetables are huge, but 75% should be vegetables. Any guesses why?
Natural sugar in fruits.
So fructose is better than glucose or sucrose or any of the other sugars. And if we're eating the entirety of the fruit, we're not peeling the fibrous skin off of it, then it can relatively balance, but fruits are still really high in sugar. There we go. So this is a fun one. So rice versus bread versus pasta. So which rice is better for you?
Brown rice.
You would think. So white rice is bleached and void of nutrients. So nutritionally, brown rice is better, but in fact, brown rice has a higher impact on your glycemic index. So if this is a challenge that you have, the honest truth is you should remove rice from your diet. So much of it produced is actually completely void of nutrition in most cases. Now, if you can get a good organic or something of that sort, then it's different. If it's one of those whole grain, like that, it actually looks kind of rustic when you look at the rice and it doesn't look all pretty and shiny. That is a little bit different. But brown rice versus white rice, it's basically the same, except the brown rice actually has a little bit more impact on your glycemic index. And then
How about quinoa? How about quinoa?
Quinoa is it a grain? It's something. It's not a grain. It's something else, but it's a lentil. Thank you. So quinoa actually is packed full of protein. So your body utilizes it far better. So great question, Mike. So breads, of course, not created equal. Better to not eat bread. I'm like Oprah. I love bread. So make good choices in your bread and don't eat it all the time. Again, just like the rice, the more natural, the more organic, the more unprocessed it is, the better. And then, of course, there's pasta. This one makes me the saddest of all. So what I've discovered is black bean pasta is actually really good.
Black bean.
Give it a try. There are a lot of alternate versions that are not the sugar-laden pasta. And I'm not saying never eat that stuff. Sure, do it. But maybe not all the time. Some of those pasta, like the black bean or the lentil pasta or the whatever other versions are out there, because a lot of them, they don't really taste a whole lot different once you've had them a few times. And it's a lot better for you overall. So we have to think smarter in the food choices we have, because diabetes primarily is food choice related. Absolutely, is it true about the next couple things we're going to go over, that if you're more active, if you do
Better than brown rice, better than white rice, better than pasta.
If you do 4 of the things that we're going to go over, there's some very significant statistics of how it increases health and life. And I got off track, so I got to get back on track. So I want to tell a quick story. This is my friend Terry. Terry, obviously, is this one, and this one we'll call my friend Chris. So Terry found out that she was diabetic. Terry is one of the people who used to work in the coaching company that I also coach with and coach around the country with, and she's since retired. She found out she was diabetic. She took complete control of her health, dropped 50 pounds, and is no longer diabetic. So I saw her. I didn't see her for months. And I was like, Terry, what's happening? She goes, I found out I was diabetic. I changed everything. Are most people going to do that? Probably not. But can we inspire them to do some of it? Yes. And then there's my friend Chris. I don't even know what Chris is doing anymore. I grew up with Chris. He was relatively the same age as me. And as a teenager, he would brag he had the arteries of a 50 and 60-year-old. Because for him, it was some kind of badge of honor that he completely mismanaged his diabetes and just hit the little button on his pump when he had something he shouldn't have. My guess is if he hasn't cleaned that up, his health is really not so good right now. But the two options are there. You can take the steps or you cannot take the steps. So really quick, what's different here sugar-wise?
Bad.
Nothing at all.
Oh.
I don't even know how they put as much sugar in soda as they put in sugar. Like there's more sugar than the size of the can. It's like some kind of magic. It's chemistry, but this isn't, I mean, even, you can't see me pointing maybe if you're at home, but even Gatorade packed full of sugar. So if you're going to drink Gatorade, try to stick with the original colors a little more and cut them at least in half by water. That's what they were designed for. And even coconut water, sadly, is packed full of sugar.
Cut it in half.
If you're a coconut water drinker, it's great. It's better than the other options, but again, cut it with water. And guess what? It goes further. Now it's cheaper. So how do we fix it? If you can increase your lifespan by 14 years, would you do it?
That's my quality of life, those 14 years.
So by the end of this slide, it's going to be 28 years. So this statistically is what happens. So if you simply do not smoke, exercise regularly 3.5 hours over 6 days a week, that's not super hard. That's barely a half hour a day. Little to no alcohol intake. I know it's the hot, but let's make some decisions. 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. And as important, that's not 5 servings of fruits and vegetables combined, that's separately. I used to miss that years ago. And so these are the 4 things. So do you think you could accomplish those 4 things more days than that?
I can try.
No, some of you are saying yes. So imagine, and I've never experienced what it is to quit smoking. I know who have, I've seen them struggle through it, and it makes a big difference in health. So maybe you're not ready to take that step and to quit smoking. Maybe you said, I'm just going to get out and go for, I mean, it's like 72 degrees. You can easily go for a nice 30-minute walk. Exercise does not mean going out and like killing yourself in the gym. It's just physically moving our bodies. Maybe it's a little alcohol intake. It doesn't say no, it says little. So alcohol has tons of sugar in it. That alone will increase your life by 14 years. And to Dr. DJ's comment, you answer for me. Do you think that's going to improve your quality of life or make it worse? It's going to do nothing but improve it. Absolutely. And then if you simply get adjusted, the research shows that people who get adjusted, they don't even need to do any of this other stuff. Their life expectancy goes up by 14 years. We do not have time to dig into the research and the DNA, the epigenetic changes that happen when you get adjusted on a regular basis. I promise we'll do that at another time. But simply getting adjusted and choosing a high quality of lifetime care for your life and cleaning up some activities that maybe you're taking part of or maybe you could do a little more of. It's why the beginning slide, it's about less of this and more of that. It's not cutting out all the negative things or all the negative foods in your life. It's about, let's use moderation. Let's maybe cut some of them out. Maybe like 3 or 4 days a week, then maybe 1 day a week you replace the pasta with one of those other options. Because the reality is most people are not going to do what Terry did. Most people are not going to be ready to change absolutely everything unless the crisis perceived is large enough to do that. Just like most people don't even show up to the doctor until there's a problem, right? So if we choose to engage more actively in the choices we're making, since we already know that the #1 cause of death on the planet is poorly made choices, then we can easily make some better choices. So if we change those things, here's what else happens. There's a 93% reduction in diabetes. So those 4 things, that's not even including getting adjusted, and we'll dig into that another day. 81% of heart attacks are gone. What's the #1 cause of death in the United States?
Cancer.
Attacks. So cancer is number 3 right now, I think. So 50% of strokes is gone. So fun fact, sometimes the media likes to share erroneous stories about how a chiropractic adjustment actually caused a stroke. Anybody agree? It happens sometimes. The truth is, when you actually look at all of the research, and again, I realize I'm saying this a lot tonight, but there's another workshop that we teach on this. The statistic is people who get adjusted are 50% less likely to have a stroke than the person just walking down the street that doesn't. Because we're allowing your body and nervous system to function more the way it's designed to. So while the media will occasionally, it happens every couple of years, they go, oh, this person went and they had a stroke. It didn't happen. And in fact, when they actually look into the autopsy reports, it was not from that. But it's a common story that used to be more common in previous times in chiropractic. The research alone, it basically says it's 50% reduction. And 38% of all cancers are prevented. So again, were the 4 things we listed really that hard? And take it day by day. If you fail one week, so what? If you don't exercise for a couple of the days, big deal. But if you more often than not, this is the result that could happen for you. So our goal, of course, it has to be about you taking responsibility. It's why in the very beginnings together, I told you that if I'm going to be able to help you, if this team is going to be the right team of people to help you, you need to take responsibility and work on your own health. You need to cause the problems that caused you to show up in the first place. It is not my responsibility to fix the problems you showed up with. It is my responsibility to equip you with the tools to make the lifestyle changes so you don't keep creating the same problem. So we have to take personal responsibility. We have to make different choices if we want different. You only have to do things if you want a difference. If you're very happy living in the state we're in right now, where 1/3 of the population is going to be diabetic in the next 20 or 30 years, then change nothing. But if you want different, these 4 things are a place to start. And we have to select doctors who teach wellness, not just crisis care. Among everything, this might be one of the most important things. And this is not to say anything negatively about the doctors in our area, but the fact is the main healthcare system we have is what's called allopathic healthcare. By design, it is designed to relieve symptoms. They're not shy about this. It's exactly what the design is for. It's allopathy, which if you look up allopathy, it's relief of symptoms. So the first go-to is, how do we help you feel better? How do we help you get out of the symptom you have? It's not necessarily, this isn't everybody, but overall, we're kind of helicoptering the whole system. It's not, let's dig in to find out why you have the problem. It's how do we cover up the symptom in the first place and improve your quantity of life over quality of life, which is, I know that could be a little shocking for some, but I think it's why there's more nursing homes showing up than anything else in the United States right now, because we're extending their life, but we're not extending the quality of it at the same time. And we have to take actions to strengthen our own vital needs. So we have 3 minutes left. So who knows what the vital needs are?
Oh, wow.
So vital needs are things you can't live without. So I'm going to lead you into this. What is something you can go without for weeks and still survive? Food.
Ooh.
What is something you can only go for days for and not survive? We already actually said it. Water. What is something you can only go minutes for and not survive?
Oxygen.
Air.
Air.
So there are other vital needs like sleep and other things of that, but these are the most vital of the body. And one of the take-home messages to share with anyone and everybody is, if you have an incredible diet, if you drink like the cleanest water off the glacier in like Nova Scotia somewhere that's never been touched by people, if you have super clean oxygen that's not massively polluted like all of ours is, awesome. And if you don't have proper nerve function and electrical in your body, basically none of that matters. The greatest athletes, the greatest performers that we love to spend ridiculous amounts of money to go see or follow the story about climbing Mount Everest, they have to have all this other stuff too. But they don't have proper nerve communication in their body, that their body isn't going to perform the way it is. It's the same reason why SEAL teams and other special operation teams actually now demand that they have chiropractors not on the team, because the chiropractor is not skilled in that, but demand they're there and that they get adjusted before they go out on the mission, because they know that if it increases their reaction time by a fraction of a second, it saves their life. So if that level of performance is utilizing and really dedicating to utilizing the care that you have an opportunity to have, why would not everyone on the planet at least want to simply get checked to find out if their body's working the way it should? And then we can work on all this other stuff along the way. So tomorrow, as many of you know, because I think I've told everybody like so many times, you could probably tell me better than I can tell you, but Patient Appreciation Day is a very special day in our office. This version, who knows what tomorrow is holiday-wise? Veterans Day. So we picked it on purpose. The flags and the veteran or the patriotic decorations are on purpose. because tomorrow we're absolutely celebrating everyone who's here, because the most important thing is the fact that you are all choose to do something about your health. And what's also important is that you share it with other people. So tomorrow we're doing the entirety of the new patient experience, the exams, the x-rays, the report for only $50. That's $100 off the typical fee, donating all of that to the Gary Sinise Foundation. So anybody know what that is? Anybody know who Gary Sinise is? Lieutenant Dan, yes. So there's a 6-minute
Lieutenant Dan.
I tried to borrow for our Facebook page and it didn't work. And it goes through all of the different branches of what they do, but it is by far one of the coolest things I've learned about this year. They have multiple different branches, and primarily what they do is they seek and work to benefit injured and disabled veterans, first responders, and families who have lost people in the line of those duties. One of the examples of something they do is they buy out Disney World for all of the kids, and they have an entire day just that.
That's neat.
Anything that goes up tomorrow related to the new patient experience, 100% is going there. And there's 2 spots left. So we have a goal of sharing and helping as many people as humanly possible. I don't start my day at 5 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. and do all the workouts and all the things we just talked about for my own good. I mean, I like to feel healthy, but I do it so I can show up, because my job is to take care of as many people as I can in the time I have on this planet. And if I do anything to subtract from that, that's stealing from my God-given gift, and I'm not okay with that. So we have 2 spots left. So my ask, whether you're online, whether you're here, is who are the people that you know? Maybe they're suffering with diabetes. Maybe it's something like a low back pain, but who are they and where are they living that they're not taking advantage of this and that they could? So I realize I went over now by 15 whole seconds. So where we're going to end is I would love for you to share with me the person that came to mind right now. So how about for you, Angie? Adrian. How about you, Dr. DJ?
My dad.
Your dad. How about for you? Michelle. I should probably slow down. Miss Natalie's trying to write it down. Oh, and if you are at home, the survey is getting posted right now.
And also the times are different. We actually have 11:30 and 4 o'clock.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. 11 o'clock is gone.
Yes.
So 4 o'clock. So that's easy for people at work. How about for you guys in the back? And if it's always the same, it's okay. I always tell the story that it took Tori 3 years to get her husband to show up. He referred like 30 people in those 3 years, but he didn't take action on his own health until she basically every night at home. When are you getting checked? When are you getting? It took 3 years. So don't give up on the people. It's worth it. How about for you, Josh? Yep. And how about for you? Charlotte. Awesome. So you have an opportunity to share. What they do with it is up to them. But if you don't share it with them, they don't have an opportunity to do anything different. So please do that. If they want care or whatever, great. If they want to just come and find out if their nervous system is working better, even better. But have a wonderful evening. We'll join together next week for another workshop. And remember, you can't only come to the minimum. You can come to all of them, because learning to be healthier is more important than your adjustment. Have a great night.
Thank you.
I'm going to replace that soon. Come on.